If you go to the book of Acts, in Acts 17, Paul takes a wandering approach. He wanders, Wanders, around Athens, sees all the statues and temples and pagan polytheistic paraphernalia. Should have got upset as a first century Jew. This is all nonsense, rubbish, crazy stuff. The Bible's very clear about idolatry. But he wanders down to the Areopagus, and I like to think with a cup of coffee in hand, and just says, this is interesting. I wandered around your city, and I was very impressed, actually. I'd taken some photographs, only photography won't be invented for a while yet. But anyway, it was great, and I saw all these temples, and I thought, wow, this is great. And then I saw this altar to an unknown god, and that got me wondering, chaps. What is going on there, boys? I'm paraphrasing from the Greek, and he quotes their own poets at them, so he's, had a look at what they're into, and then he goes from there. He doesn't stay there, and with this approach, you don't stay in the kind of, I wonder. You start there, and then he builds the bridge across to the gospel. So I think Paul is a textbook example of how to do it. I remember when I was sort of studying that passage for the last book, I thought, of course, today people aren't physically erecting altars marked to an unknown god, but we have the equivalents, don't we, in contemporary culture of the things that people are, whether you want to go so far as saying worshipping, but certainly the things that are taking people's interest and desire and attention and, becoming central things in their lives. So we can do an Acts 17, and we can start by saying, that fascinated me. I was really intrigued why you are drawn to that. And one last thought, by the way, throw back to you. The other thing with this too, on some really contentious issues, I like this approach because it can sort of defang them slightly. So one of the chapters in the book I love, and it's great other people have contributed because I can really big it up because I wasn't involved. So Anne Whitten, my friend of mine, Anne Whitten, her chapter on, have you ever wondered why we treat sex as something sacred? If you meet someone, say from the LGBT community, rather than sort of your hackles go up or you think, how do I start a fight, or you run away, or goodness knows whatever, it's a difficult thing. Starting before you go anywhere else on, well, that's really interesting. Do you know we have something in common, that we think sex and sexuality really matter? Have you wondered why that is? Why is sexuality important? You're in a whole different conversation. That's not saying we avoid the tough stuff, but there'll come a time for that. But we don't start there necessarily.